All right, here we are.
We're back.
We're back.
This is my first clubhouse.
Oh man, welcome to the clubhouse.
That's right.
It's been Solomon and I doing the couple streams for this, so we're excited to have. I almost feel like I'm saying, and my guest today is Joseph Drust. It's not really though. So obviously we got both of us, myself, Paul Gaboury, and we got Mr. Joseph Drust to screen left. Welcome
Correct,
everybody.
correct.
I see some regular people in there. I see Mr. Randy Dice, BT Sculptor. I see Sahid. Welcome. Thanks for coming. All right, so clearly everyone can see in here. I like it. Double Dragon. I like that, Mr. Sculptor. We might have to phrase that one. Oh, he's got double Z Dragon. I like it. Very nice. Well, if you guys have never seen a Clubhouse stream before that we've been doing, this has given us an opportunity to actually stream both of us at the exact same time. So you guys are going to be able to see, obviously right now, you can see both of our webcams. You're going to hear both of us at all times. So we're going to be talking to each other during the stream, going through some items as we go along here. It's a lot of fun. Solomon and I have been doing the last couple too, and it's been a really good time. There's going to be a point here as well where you guys will see both our ZBrushes at the same time, and we're even going to have the ability to show just one ZBrush at a time. So when Joseph's doing something cool, we can switch to his screen, and I'm never doing anything cool, so occasionally my screen. But I appreciate you all tuning in. We're very excited to have you here. As Master Joseph, do you have anything else you'd like to say welcoming the people to our stream?
No, thank you guys for showing up. This is usually my usual time for streaming, but today Paul hijacked it, and we got some cool stuff to show you guys, so it should be fun.
I like, Frank, that I'm keeping you awake with my look up ears, so that will happen. It's in my vocabulary. Where are you located, Frank? That you're where is everyone located, actually? I'm intrigued if you want to share where you're actually located to see who's coming in through the streams today. That's exciting. So, like Joseph said, we've got some exciting stuff for you today. This is actually something very big. We're making an announcement today in this stream. So again, I'll let that sink in a little bit here. We're making an announcement today. So, surprise! So not only are you getting Joseph and I in this stream, but we are happy to announce something for you guys. And we're happy to announce ZBrushCore Mini. This is now a free version of ZBrush. So all you can go download this right now and start using this today. And in fact, we are encouraging you all to get this right now. And we want this to be a true clubhouse. So besides just watching Joseph and I, go get this version now, everybody. And let's start sculpting together, because I'm going to show you guys right away some cool things that we're going to be able to do with this. So the whole stream today is going to be about this version, which is brand new. We just launched it, ZBrushCore Mini. It is free to everybody. Anybody can go get this and work on it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So Joseph and I are going to walk you through some things with this application, okay, and what you can do with it, and some other also little new features that are in this version that will be fun. So again, if you want to have more information, you can get the downloads. There is already going to be text being put in the chat for you guys. You'll have links right there that is getting you right to the download of this version, and also it's getting you to something special, which is our Clubhouse stream post on ZBrush Central. Okay, but before I go into that, I just want to briefly, again, touch, there is going to be a video here. And again, this is going to be free. It's going to allow you to also export for 3D printing. And we're going to be introducing something new to you guys, which is going to be making it pretty awesome for you guys to share. This is why I would love for you all to get this version right now and sculpt along with us. So it is available for Windows and Macintosh operating systems. It is not available for a mobile device like an iPad right now.
No iPads.
No. But I want you guys to also go to this post. So it's in the chat right now. And what we're asking from you today to join Joseph and I as we sculpt, we'd love for you guys to get this version now, make a couple sculpts, and upload them. Because what's unique also to this ZBrushCore Mini free version is you guys are going to have now the ability, if you scroll down here, you are going to have the ability to share your actual model based upon a 3D image GIF or PNG. So as an example, you can see Mr. Joseph's T-Rex right here sculpt. It's as simple as this. He just posted this GIF straight out of ZBrush Mini.
Image 3D.
He likes image 3D.
That's right.
Is the correct terminology, right? This is Mr. Sanson's throwing in. This is Elisa needs braces moment for sure. So this is very unique. This is only available currently in ZBrushCore Mini. All right. So all I have to do is right click on this and then save image as, and then it's going to be a GIF, and then I save it. Okay. It's that simple. And then I'm going to now tab over into my ZBrushCore Mini. So what I'm going to do now is take that model that Joseph actually shared with me in that, and you guys are now going to be able to load this model yourself. That simple. So you don't have to need a ZTL or a ZPR for those that are used to using ZBrush. This is just an image 3D that I am loading from the ZBrush Central. Okay. So I'm just going to go here to my open, which you guys can see the shortcut is Control O. It's magic. Okay, and then now we're going to say, no, I don't want to save anything about that. And then I load my T-Rex, and then there you go. So again, I've loaded this straight from the ZBrush Central link. Okay, so again, that's going to be found. Let me go back to my ZBrush Central post here. Okay, and you can see that right here. So again, that's been saved in the chat. I'll put it up again right now for you as well, so you guys have that.
Yeah, and the one thing cool about it is that now you can save out an image, and these images will go anywhere. They're your standard GIF or GIF PNG images, and you just upload them wherever you want them. And then as you download them, if you load them into, say, another application, they're just going to look like a normal image. But if you take that image and load it into ZBrush, then you're going to get a 3D model. So it's a really cool way to share stuff. And it works great with ZBrush Central.
Yeah, it's an easy way, an effective way for you guys to share things and look at quickly passing models along through there. Okay, so we're excited to have this. Again, it's a free version for you all. It's going to be a lot of fun for you guys to be able to use this. Again, I encourage you to, in the chat, we'll be continually putting that where you can be streaming and going through there. So I'm going to go to a dual screen now with myself and Joseph. So we will minimize this. We don't need this on right now. So that both of us now have the same T-Rex model.
He's hungry.
Right, in our ZBrushCore Mini, right? So we are going to look at sculpting this now and changing it up and kind of doing our own little, I'm going to take his and go a little bit different with it. So what we're going to do first, though, is I'm going to hand the reins over to Joseph here in a second. He's going to give you guys a little walkthrough about the UI, just so you guys have a general understanding why I'm talking in chat as well. And again, sharing links with you. So Mr. Drust, I'm going to make you live right now.
Excellent. Excellent.
There you go. So I'll let you walk through a little bit about the UI, and then we're going to start sculpting with this. And we're going to keep, again, we encourage you guys to put those sculpts, if you're doing some, up in that thread.
Yeah, because we're gonna try to pull from them. If you want me to sculpt on your model, or you want Paul to sculpt on your model, definitely upload those images to ZBrush Central. So here we have the ZBrushCore Mini, and the main premise of the application is that we wanted some way for users that maybe didn't know about ZBrush or were maybe still in school through like elementary, middle school, K through 12 type stuff, a way that they can experience 3D. And we wanted to give them this experience because it's the experience that I love inside of ZBrush, but we wanted to also make it free. And so this version of ZBrushCore Mini here, we've included a lot of the stuff that makes ZBrush powerful and allows you to feel the power of digital sculptor creation. So we have our standard 8 brushes here that you can choose from, and these are picked from the most favorite ones that our user base usually uses. So we've got standard, clay buildup, inflate, pinch, move, snakehook, /3, and H polish. So you can just come over here and select these. We tried to make this very easy in terms of functionality. So we didn't want to put like a whole bunch of stuff in it. We wanted to streamline it down and make it as simple as possible so that anyone can come through and grab it and use the application. So my children have been a direct test bed of this, and they've actually been fighting over using it, which has been kind of bizarre because they've seen me ZBrush sculpt for years now, and they never really had any kind of like interest, you'd say. And then when we started developing this application, the ZBrushCore Mini here, they ended up wanting to actually use it. They wanted to sculpt stuff. I caught them watching Paul's live streams where he was going through and like explaining stuff, and my daughter's going, "Hey, which brush is Paul using right there? Which brush is Paul using?" And mind you, she's 5. So it was really cool seeing that kind of transition, and they're actually like using it. So below this, we have a set of Madcaps, and these were also tailor-picked between kind of the age group of my children as well. So they definitely, I'd switched to one of these, and they're like, "Oh, I want it gold," or "I want it silver," or "I want it toy plastic," or not. No one said I wanted red wax though. So I Madcap gray fan. But so we added all the stuff in that kind of makes it so you can sculpt. So we've got the draw sizes, we got the intensity, we have the ability to lower the mesh down in terms of poly count. So that's what this low, medium, and high is. And since all the brushes here are going to be defaulting to Sculptris Pro mode, and Sculptris Pro allows you to basically take your model, and as you sculpt across a surface, it's going to tessellate the mesh. So this allows you to pull out like crazy horns, like pretty much we can turn them into a dragon really quick just by clicking and dragging, right? So now we've taken that T-Rex, and now we're starting to get to that dragon kite mentality. Then all the other brushes can be used as well. If you're familiar with ZBrush, these are all going to be kind of akin to what you're kind of used to. And when I sculpt in here, I end up using kind of a build-up process. So I'll come across and kind of do some horizontal strokes like this. I just build on the shapes a little bit, smooth them out, carve in, carve out, and then smooth across the surface. Now, after you have your kind of sculpt done, you can decimate it down. So right now it's about 315,000 polygons there. So you'll be able to handle quite a bit of polygons in this free application. Now, you're not going to be able to handle as much as you could with ZBrush Core or the professional version of ZBrush, but this should allow you to get the experience and feel of using ZBrush if it's definitely your first time. In addition to this, we have the ability to export out images so you can share them. And these images themselves here are just going to give you 2D image. So they're not going to be that image 3D model that we shared on ZBrush Central there. And then we also have an ability for 3D printing. So a lot of schools are doing a bunch of stuff with STEM. And one thing they'll end up doing is building kind of CAD models or CAD shapes and forms. And they every once in a while, they try to do these things where the kids want to sculpt a character. They want to sculpt a creature like this T-Rex here. And if you've ever tried sculpting anything like that in a CAD application, it's really, really difficult. So we wanted to also bridge that kind of ability as well. So after you've created something, you have the ability to also send that out. And we'll take that model, we'll decimate it down and export it out as an OBJ. And then you can import that into your favorite slicer and print away. Now, as Paul said, the Image 3D stuff is pretty awesome, and this will allow you to just open and save these as projects inside of ZBrush. So I've posted some more on the ZBrush Central thread there, and as you guys are kind of with us today, definitely go to that thread and post some images, and me and Paul are going to grab them, and we'll see what they look like. Maybe modify them a little bit, probably make them worse, but if you have any of those kind of things, definitely post them in that thread. Now I've got a few of these I'm going to just open up here. And so I'm going to load another one quick here. And I've also thrown this one up on the ZBrush Central post as well. So here I have just kind of a Frankenstein type character here. I can go in and start changing, sculpting on them. With the color picker window you have over here, if you change this, you'll be able to just preview your model in like kind of a solid color, and then you can apply, you know, different material effects to them down here. So if I want kind of a reddish gold, and kind of get that on him. If I want kind of a skin shade-ish color as well. And we try to keep this simple in terms of learning and just kind of experimenting. So we don't want to bog it down with everything else that ZBrush has, but just keep it as simple as possible. Now, once
Yeah, it's
again,
really meant for like the beginner, someone that maybe never even sculpted. You know, like Joseph said, kids K through 12, in essence. You know, high school kids and lower, and then people just want to get into digital sculpting. That's really what this version's for, too, to get people going. Some of you obviously are experts in this stream and are using the ZBrush Pro version, but this is really to get people inside of ZBrush, get inside of the family of ZBrush, the environment of ZBrush, and getting them going.
yeah, because it's free. There's no reason not to try it. So if you have anyone you know that has, you know, just an inkling to maybe, oh, this might be something they'll like to do, you can now get this application for free and try it out and see if it's something. Because I know my brain works a lot better in terms of a 3D environment than it ever does in 2D form. And so the 2D aspect of stuff I never really grasped too well. Like if you give me a piece of paper and tell me to draw something, you usually get a bunch of mess. But if you give me a ball of clay, or even, you know, something like ZBrushCore Mini here, I can end up pretty much giving you all sorts of different things and designs and styles.
Yeah. So you can see our two screens now. For the person that is communicating saying they don't see the license, you have to log in to My Licenses, right? So you actually got to make a Pixologic ID and log in. So it's just pixologic.com /my-licenses. And there'll be tabs right here. And then there'll be a ZBrushCore Mini tab right here. Again, here's a closer view of it. So you'll have tabs. Obviously, I have tabs for every product that we have in Pixologic, which is ZBrush, ZBrushCore, the plugin, and subscription. Right here is where you download it. Okay. So if you're seeing no licenses found, most likely you probably need to clear your browser. It's probably a browser issue. Okay. So let me jump in, switch then to my ZBrush Mini here. And again, this is targeting, looking at what people might be able to do starting out in the digital world of sculpting. We're going to have just limited number of brushes, limited number of materials. There is no saving of brushes. There's no loading of brushes. There's no saving materials. Guys, our target was trying to make this as simple as possible, okay? To go really easy, that someone could literally just launch this and start sculpting immediately. That's the number one goal here, okay? So this does have, obviously, the environment of using ZBrush's UI, using ZBrush's navigation. So I know I'm a big fan of the right-click navigation, where Joseph is really a big fan of using the original navigation. Mm-hmm. So I just prefer using the right-click, okay? So I can grab something like my Snakehook, and then now maybe just start completely changing this guy up. And again, I've been loading this from the web. Okay, so this was a 3D GIF image that we have developed, which you can either be able to store in a GIF or a PNG. So I'm going to completely ruin Joseph's T-Rex right now and just go completely something, I don't know, this is the point. And then I'll play with this a little bit, and again, I'll show you guys this process. So what we have here is just me using Sculptress Pro. So that's the only thing that's going to be available to the user for this application. Because again, we're trying to target, just make it as simple as possible, someone to be able to pick up and start sculpting like I am, or, you know, being able to share an image really quickly, like the way I started this project with Joseph's image. There is no tool saving. There is only project saving. So for those that are using ZBrush currently, you either can save a project, or, like I said, the new way of saving out files through a 3D GIF or 3D PNG. Okay, so this is going to be able to allow us to be able to continue to just play around and allow people. So I'm just going to play a little bit in here so you guys can kind of see the flow and what it's doing. I want to show you a couple other little things that you can do in here with this. So I'm gonna let's have some fun with this. We'll do a little, maybe a little bit more of a slash. Let's change up some things on him, right? And maybe just slash this area a little bit more. Let's completely change that up. And again, this is just dynamically tessellating on the fly. So if we look at our framing, you can see I've got more density now along here. Okay, you can also see that the model currently is pretty triangulated. And there's a reason for that, which I'm going to be getting to here in a second. So if I just want to start throwing in some wrinkles, I don't have to worry about the technical thoughts of this, right? And I can just come in here and start working, and then, I'm going to make maybe some bold moves, and let's work symmetrically. This is going to use the same shortcuts that you find in any of the other ZBrushes, whether it be the ZBrush Core or full ZBrush. So the X key is allowing me, as in expand, I guess, or what else could we use for X?
Extravagant.
Okay. It's just allowing me to quickly go through this. I really love also, what I've also loved about Sculptris Pro is the ability to, in essence, erase real fast. So if I go to a little bit drawer brush size, I can kind of erase this really quickly. Okay, it's all one mesh. Okay, so this version is not going to allow multiple meshes to be sculpted on. You're going to be only able to sculpt on one mesh at a time. You can start changing this up a little bit. Yes, yes. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just, I'm just going free here, being an artist.
Sculpting.
Right. Okay. So then Snakehook is obviously a very fun one to start messing with. Allows really some very fun parts. Okay. So as I'm working here, I keep adding tessellation, and that's being controlled by my actual brush size. Okay. So as I'm sculpting, right, my brush size determines how much density. So here I'm going to just zoom in a little bit here. So when I go a little bit smaller brush size, you can see my density gets, as far as the polygons go, gets a little more dense. And the smaller I go, obviously the more dense you can see that I'm getting. Now, when we're doing this, okay, like Joseph had already said, there is a limitation on this version. Okay, it's not going to be able to go to the same polygon count as our ZBrush Core or our ZBrush Professional version, which is pretty much the full version of ZBrush. Okay, so we have an active polygon count here. So you guys can see 160,000 polygons. Okay, so now I have the ability to just keep sculpting away. And you can see that as I start adding more density in certain areas, there's going to be a point here. We're gonna go really tiny here, so I can really start to add a lot of triangles. I want to get that polygon count up a lot.
Happy little triangles.
Okay, so I'm going to turn off the density so we can just sculpturally see what I'm doing here. And you can see that polygon count is now rising. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is as you guys are working with this application, okay, and you're moving along and you get to a point where there's going to be a warning saying, hey, you've reached, in essence, the polygon limit of ZBrushCore Mini. So what we've done here is we've put these options right above the polygon count. So you got a low, medium, and high. Okay, and you can see when I scroll over it, it's going to reduce this model. Okay, it's polygons. So you can see high is 500,000, medium is 300,000, and low is 150,000. So as an example, right now, right, working on the model that I'm working on, let me start putting that eye back in here. Right, the polygon count is going to keep rising because as I keep sculpting, right, I'm adding topology. Now, if I want to get down to reduce that polygon count, I can do that, okay, no problem. Okay, so what I'm going to do is tell ZBrushCore Mini to say, all right, let's reduce this and hit this low button because I'm sitting at 267 right now. So I'm going to hit the low button, okay? And then now what we're doing is analyzing this, and we're going to reduce the polygon count to 150, but you're going to see the sculpt doesn't change. You're not losing any of the details that you've done on this, okay? So there's going to be multiple ways I can start. So of course, I started with a Joseph model that is on the ZBrush thread here. So again, I encourage you all to download this. We just put the links again. This is a free version of ZBrushCore Mini. It's free to anybody to download. Okay, so I'm going to go and grab something else that Joseph upload. So I'm going to switch back into my browser here. All right, and I'm going to come into our Clubhouse post again, which has just been shared in the chat. So if you scroll down here, Joseph has been sharing some models here. So these are again 3D image, okay, GIFs. So the model is actually being hosted in these GIF images. Okay, so there's the T-Rex. So you all can right now go download these models and load them into your own ZBrushCore Mini. Okay, and honestly, for this stream, what Joseph and I are looking for you is to download that and do some sculpts and upload them to this thread. And we would love to be able to download them to you and get them. What's that, Mr. Drust?
Oh, then we can modify them.
Yeah, we want to be able to modify these. So there we go. I just downloaded his Mr. Frankenstein boy. So now if I come back into my ZBrush here, okay, I just up here on the top corner, there's going to be your open and saves. Okay, so again, there's going to be 3 ways to save. It's either going to be the image GIF, image 3D GIF, image 3D PNG, which this is a new feature that we're introducing right now in ZBrushCore Mini. And then obviously ZBrush project. There are no tool saving. There's no exporting of or importing any kind of things like STL, OBJs. Only way to export an OBJ is for 3D printing, which is going to be this button right here. But first, let me load again Joseph's model. So I'm just going to use the shortcut. I like to use a shortcut. There he is. And there you go. Now I have his model again, ready to go for me to edit and do whatever I want to do with. Okay, so again, I encourage you all to go ahead and start working on it. And see, now I can start working on this. I can change the color out. Maybe mine's going to be a mustard Frankie instead of a green Frankie. Yeah, it's just like, like a green hornet, yellow hornet, or, green Hulk, purple Hulk.
Green Lantern, Yellow Lantern.
Sure, I'm expanding the universe. If you want, go purple. Okay, I'm a big fan of purple. Why not? Okay, so go for it. Right. So the idea here again, people, is making this as simple as possible. Right. We really would love to see, kids playing with this. Like Joseph had mentioned early in the stream, his kids now have really got into sculpting. They've been watching streams. Drust, they're it sounds like they're fighting over your one.
Yeah, and they've never done that before, so it was definitely weird. Like, what are you guys doing? Because my daughter was like, "When is it my turn? When is it my turn?"
Yeah, which is great. So again, so I can start with loading an existing model like I'm right here and now, and just editing Joseph's model itself. Okay, or I can start with just a sphere if I want to. You're going to have also 2 projects. So when you first launch ZBrushCore Mini, it's going to just give you a sphere. So that's going to be ready to sculpt and you're off and running. So that's the only thing that you have to worry about is just what brush do you want to start using, and then start making something, right? So sculpting ahead now, just quickly moving the shape around and going at this. I'm going to do a Joseph Drust maybe head here.
You got my reference. It's on screen.
Yeah, it's a good reference for sure. Okay, so what we've done is we put very popular brushes from the ZBrush Core and ZBrush regular ZBrush. Okay, so I can start with, say, something like this and start working on this ability. Okay, and start sculpting into this. He's sad. Right, and then dialing that back. We need to start building up a little bone structure. So this is the beauty of Sculptris Pro 2. You don't have to worry about any kind of technical ideas, right? Which this, I think, makes it easier for kids to pick up and start learning some sculpting. Obviously there's definitely some experts in this stream right now, right? But it'd be cool. Some of us have kids. It'd be cool to see what our kids are doing. I know my daughter will sit on my lap, and I've got a Cintiq. So she'll sit there in the Cintiq and start working on that, right? Wow, the jaw is just really, really brutal right now.
I'd like to know what you're doing to me.
I'm making it's a self portrait. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing a mandible. You know, I'm just doing a quick little some kind of
So
little.
there is undos, so you can undo. Don't worry, we
Gotta
left you those.
gotta have undos. That's and you know when you go back in the real world, i.e., when you go back into using like clay or drawing, like you said, and you're like,
No symmetry.
undo.
Another thing about ZBrush too that's really nice, it's one of the things that I always hit on, is that it doesn't require a extremely powerful graphic card. It doesn't even care about your graphic card. So if you have a computer that can pretty much run just by itself, like the operating system, more than likely you'll be able to download and run ZBrushCore Mini. So I even have some older machines that we'll use for kind of testing different stuff for like support tickets and things like that. And they all have been able to run. So I have a Core 2 Duo that I'll talk about quite a bit that I got out of a garage sale years ago. And that one still boots up, and I can launch ZBrush and ZBrushCore Mini and sculpt. So if you have something that may not be the most powerful machine, you can still download and try it out, and more than likely you can be able to run it.
Yeah, so they're seeing your screen full screen right now, Mr. Drust.
Excellent.
I'm gonna
While you're doing that,
I'm gonna head over into the post and see if anybody has posted anything that we can maybe go and play with.
I took my Frankie guy here, and he's kind of turning in some weird Andorian from Star Trek. Or those little blue guys with the antenna.
So, John, no, the low, medium, high, there are no subdivision levels in this version. So it's not similar in that sense. It's a polygon reduction. So it's decimating is what it's doing.
Yeah, and this just allows you to keep, like if you hit the maximum polygon limit, you can basically bring it down to a low, medium, or high. Low is going to be 150,000, medium's 300, and high is going to be 500. And so basically with the decimation process that's in ZBrushCore and also professional version of ZBrush, it's going to look at the sculptural details on your model and then reduce all the polygon counts, but try to keep all those sculptural details. But yeah, but the whole main kind of principle of this is to just keep it simple. And that's the main thing. Like as you're doing this, especially if you've never touched the application before, there's a lot of ways, you can just start sculpting. And so one thing here, one of the presets we have is this kind of stone mesh. And the stone mesh allows you to cut into the surface. So if you take, say, like the clay buildup brush here and you start carving in, this is going to allow you to kind of carve in as you would if you were a traditional sculptor, right? So you're actually punching into the surface of the mesh. And so I'm just carving and then holding down the Alt key here and then cutting in to the blocks of the surface there. And so this allows you to, kind of experiment sculpting in another way as well. So when we were using that sphere, we're adding positively to the surface of it. But if we start from this kind of stone block, we can kind of cut into it. And this allows us to go back and forth to kind of give you a different effect. So this tool here has some surface noise built on it. And we tested this kind of process out at one of the ZBrush summits. And so we were doing these little challenges on site. And the one challenge we did was the emoji challenge. And then this one was kind of using the Michelangelo challenge. And so with this, oops, hit the hotkey there that Paul was using. It's as you sculpt in and out of the surface, you can expose something. And thinking of how Michelangelo would do the kind of sculpture out of stone and expose what was inside of it. So you can definitely use this process as well and experiment with those shapes. And with the noise applied to this, basically this is going to give you the effect of more detail being added to the mesh. So instead of having it really light or very like tessellated or blocky, the surface noise comes on top of it and it kind of covers that up. So you can end up using this with a very lightweight mesh and still get a sculptural effect off of it. So it's fun to play, this kind of way too, and just kind of experiment with this. And that's the main thing with this version 2 that we wanted to hit on, especially for new users, is to experiment, right? So there's nothing right or wrong. It's just using the brushes. You can see as I do this, I'm pulling in and out of the surface, just adding to the forms here. And my brain works as kind of a shape finder. So I'll sculpt something and then I'll see something I like, and then I can come through and refine it more. But there's really nothing complex with this process. It's very kind of relaxing. So as I do this, you'll often hear my voice will change and go to more of a kind of a Bob Ross sculpting mode. So I go back and forth between, like normal teaching voice, and then it'll kind of go low and I'll go to like a sculpting voice as well.
Okay, so we're going to make a little switch. We're going to have, instead of doing Clubhouse, Joseph's just going to go and take it for the rest of the time here. But while you still have me, again, like Joseph said, I saw someone in the chat talking about the noise. So again, that's this project right here. So it's just a stone sculpt noise. So again, by default, you can either start with a sphere or you can start with a block like this, okay, and get sculpting into this, right? And then, so this is something we did a couple of ZBrush summits ago. We did like a Michelangelo challenge, where was kind of just thinking the idea of, the old sculptors would take a block and start chiseling away at it, right, and start going through it. So this has already got surface noise on it. You're not going to be able to do any editing. Again, this application that's free is about keeping it actually a little bit more limited, making it a lot easier to get up and get running and going into digital sculpting. And then it's getting you in the ZBrush world atmosphere, right? So this is really what the goal is for us with this application. So let's just start having some fun with this. And again, you're going to be able to save in a couple of ways, either with the new 3D GIF or 3D Alpha. Okay, so you're going to be able to save in those ways as well. So let me switch to, I'll make a little kind of little bunny, I guess. Let's just go for it, eh? A little bunny head coming out of this. Yeah, there. Happy little trees. Okay, so as Joseph was saying before a little bit too, when you're ready to share this model, okay, you could just go and save it over here. Okay, when you go to save this model, you're going to be able to save as projects, okay, or save as a GIF, okay, or save as a PNG, right? But if you wanted to, obviously, I'm very proud of this sculpt. It's very exciting. At least my daughter would probably like this. I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, there. Oh yeah, there. Oh, perfecto. Okay, that's a bad nose. So you have the ability right here to export an image. Okay, so I can click on this, and I'm going to have the capability to export a PSD, the capability to export a normal formats here so you guys can see. So PNG, JPEG, and BIP. So if I do a PNG, I say save it. And so now you're going to have a little editor here so you can crop it if you want. Okay. And then you hit OK and you got a JPEG. Now that's just a normal image. It's not going to have any of the information on the model, only the new image 3D GIF and image 3D PNG. Now, for those of us that also maybe you're excited at what you have, and besides just sharing an image, you want to 3D print this as well. So that's what this icon next to the image is for. So if you click on this, we're going to automatically say, okay, 3D print. Yeah, let's save it. We're going to go through, write out the file automatically for you, and have it ready to go. So that is now an OBJ that is ready for 3D printing. Okay, so you can't import an OBJ, but we're allowing you guys to export the OBJ for the purpose of being able to have something for the 3D printability. Okay, so and again, at any time I want to load something, right, I can just click on my open. I'm going to load that T-Rex. I'm going to load, let's load the T-Rex again. Let's see. Here, we'll see. Dog. dog. Okay, you're ready? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little swapperoo. Don't go anywhere. Joseph is going to stream from his location. He's going to take over the stream. We're going to be going with just Drust from here on. We're going to switch it up. So I'll still be in the stream, and I'll be answering questions through the chat for you guys. But Joseph's going to switch up and start the stream over. So Joseph, I'm going to end the stream right now. So the stream will end, but Joseph's going to start it right back up.
Excellent. Okay. So hopefully this should be flawless now. We were trying to do that kind of dual stream here, and the one program we're kind of using was, it would let me work, and then it'd take Paul out, and then I'd come back, and it was back and forth. So this, we know, works 100%. So hopefully this it ends up working correctly here. So we have one question here in the chat I see about the application failing to start. There may be missing some VC credits that you need to install, and inside the application folder for ZBrushCore Mini there's a troubleshoot help folder, and in there there'll be a series of executables. Try running the initial one that's in there. I think it's the bundled one, I think is what it is. Try running that and see if that ends up fixing that problem out. But you will have to need some VC redistributables to actually run the application. All right, so as Paul said, we're doing this kind of thing, and we've got these kind of clubhouse kind of things here. So over on ZBrush Central, I've been posting up some images here. This is actually going a little bit better now. And once again, these are all just images. So this is just displaying as an image. It's not a mesh, it's an image. And you see this little noise bar down here? That's the model data, right? So you've got an image, but then it's embedding noise into it, and that's giving you the cool stuff. So it's really awesome. They used to use this kind of thing for like sending codes and stuff, but we're using this entirely like new way of just, capturing the model. So with the kind of process here with ZBrushCore Mini, as we mentioned, we want to keep it simple, keep it light. So experimentation is definitely what you want to do with it. And in here, you're really just kind of open to whatever you want. So these brushes here, like the standard brush, when you use this one, it's going to give this kind of roundish shape to it. So if you have like a kind of like a ball on the end of your kind of sculpting utensil, as you come across, it's going to make it nice and smooth. The clay buildup one has this rough kind of surface, and as you go across, it's going to build up. So it has this build-up effect. And then we have the Inflate, which is going to come through and kind of inflate. So this one works really good if you have, say, a surface. They've kind of come in and blocked out some different things here. This is really good for like wrinkles and folds. And then after you have that kind of blocked out, the pinch and the Inflate brush can come through, and you can see you can start making it kind of bulbous. So this is a fun one to play with. You can also always smooth this down, and then the pinch will do kind of the opposite of the Inflate, and it's going to end up giving you this nice kind of sharp effect on it. So I see Paul is in the kind of chat answering stuff now too, and it looks like YouTube's back up and Twitch is back up, so hopefully everything is good to go. So little things there. Now I have a bunch of these projects, and I'm gonna, if you have any of these that you want to kind of see or have me share, I'm happy to kind of go through them. So here was a quick Batman here that was just done sculpturally, and once again we've added kind of different colors. So this is one thing that my children, especially, learning kind of the stuff in here, really like messing with. Like, they really like the ability of changing materials really quick. And then once again, this is all free, so you can just download this and try it out. So there's no restriction here in terms of cost or buy-in or anything. Like, this is definitely, we want you guys to experience this, because it's definitely changed how I did art, and it changed it drastically. So I did video games for many years, and I started out with, vertex pulling. So I was using 3D Studio Max and pushing and pulling vertices, turning edges. And I don't know how long I would have lasted in terms of kind of that kind of methodology. Like, it didn't feel artistic to a point. Like, it ended up being more kind of like really technical. Like, it wasn't artistic. Like, if I took like a ball of clay and pulled stuff out, that was artistic. And so I had one friend that recommended ZBrush to me, and after I started using it, I was hooked. And I couldn't, it basically changed what I did for the entire life of my career, and still ongoing. Definitely the ZBrush has changed what I do as an artist. And one thing that's great about the application is that, it's the brushes and the feel of it. That's really what drives it home. Like, when you go and make a cut on that surface, the way it does it and the way it slices in the surface or gives you that shape or gives you that form, that's what kind of sets it apart from all other kind of applications that have some sculpture stuff in it. And so it's one of those things where you have to kind of feel it to experience it. And so that was one of the main things too, that we wanted to make sure with this version that you had those 8 brushes that were built in so that you could experience those, get that experience, that feel for what ZBrush is and how it works. And then you can use these to sculpt on your meshes. And then after you get just a little taste of the kind of sculptural effects inside of ZBrush, you're going to get hooked. And, you know, so for something like this, you're looking at maybe, you know, 10, 15 minutes without me talking and explaining it to kind of get to this kind of thing. But this is me doing it for a while, so don't expect, you know, if you've just downloaded the program and started messing with it, don't expect, you know, to get like crazy results, you know, right out the gate. It definitely does take some time and a little bit of practice, but with it being free now with ZBrushCore Mini, you can try it out and see if it's a good thing. So we've already started getting some kind of posts here, so I just want to show you guys what this kind of looks up. So here's one of the people in the chat here, and he just threw in this image here. Now, transferring images like this is very simple. So all I have to do is save this, right? So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to save this image out. We'll just throw it on my desktop, and we'll save that out. And now we'll go back into ZBrushCore Mini, and I'm going to open this up. And then in here, I'm going to grab that project, and boom, there it is. Right? And it also gives you a really nice kind of visual effect of the tool, right? So you can actually see what that ZTL is. You can see actually what that kind of file is. Because before, if you're used to ZBrush, you have ZPR files and you have ZTL files. And if you open them in a Windows browser or anything like that, you just see extensions and names. And it's oftentimes hard to, well, what did I sculpt in that file? And so now you can end up saving these out as these image 3D files, and you can now transfer these around. And it's really nice kind of community sharing. Like these you can post anywhere, like anywhere that accepts these kind of file formats for PNG or the GIF or GIF, if you, depending on which way you prefer to say it, you can go through and mess with it. And so I'm going to take some of these models here, if you guys post them up, and I'll mess with them some and sculpt on these as well. So this is one thing that me and Paul wanted to do in our stream here. Let's kind of go through and experiment with what you guys make. So I'm going to add a little tongue, you know, to this. And this is another thing, especially if you're just learning ZBrush, you know, you can quickly send this file over to, you know, someone else for critiques, modifications, and then I can send this back. Like you're not limited to the process of only doing this once. You can definitely experiment with the files. So I'm going to give them some little eye creasing here, something like that. There we go. Make some eyelids on the top. I'll give them some crazy eyes here. Now, one thing if you're doing kind of sculptural eyes, there's a lot of ways to kind of handle them. The main thing, if you're kind of doing it, you want to make sure that you don't turn symmetry on all the time when you get to like the eyes at a certain point. Like if you want to add the irises to it, you don't really want to have those symmetrical. So if I come over here and add this like left or right, you know, you may end up with this kind of cross-eyed type effect. So to disable symmetry, there's a button right here, and you can toggle this on and off, and then you can actually come through and, you know, add one there and add the other iris over there, and I get them kind of looking off into space. And then I can kind of flatten these out. This is looking a little bit crazy here. We're going to send it back crazy. This is why, if Paul was in the stream with me here today, he'd be making fun of me right now. But this is kind of a thing here. And the one other brush that I really like inside of ZBrushCore Mini here is the Snakehook brush. And the Snakehook brush is by far kind of the, you know, my favorite brush to go to. And it's ones that my children have the most kind of fun with playing with. And so they like just pulling kind of geometry off. And so as you do this, you can start generating like crazy effects like this. As we did earlier, if you guys saw, I was, you know, messing with that kind of dragon there. And so I can actually start deforming my mesh. Now, once again, this is going to deform based on your brush size as well. So as I tailor this to a larger or small draw size, it's going to determine how much of that mesh topology gets added to the surface. So what that means is if I do a very small stroke like this, you're seeing I'm going to get it very kind of finite and kind of stream like this. But then if I do a large brush size, I'm going to be able to get kind of a larger form, but it's then going to reduce the amount of polygons there. And this reduction and adding process with Sculptris Pro is going to allow you to keep your mesh kind of lightweight. So as you're doing this, pulling surfaces in and out, moving surfaces in and out, and it's going to modify the topology on the fly to kind of keep that mesh a little bit lighter so you're kind of more free to do different things. So now I've totally changed his initial sphere here. We've gone more of a kind of a crazy thing here. But this is kind of the experimentation that, you know, this is definitely, we want you guys to kind of experience and feel. It's the creation process where there's really no limit, right? So if you start pulling something out and then you decide you don't like it, you can just hold down Shift and smooth it away, right? You're not confined or need to worry about, you know, topology, things going all over the place. You can definitely come in and clean up different areas and surface out and change your entire model very quick. And this is one of the great kind of things. So don't be, you know, scared to kind of push a model or rechange the entire thing, because the topology is going to change, you know, drastically as you shape it. And then, as I mentioned earlier, my brain works kind of in like a shape finding mode. So if I see something, I'll definitely can go and kind of push it out and see what it kind of looks like. So we saw a little shape there, but now it's going crazy again. Let's see what we got here. And I'm going to keep checking the ZBrush Central page as I'm messing with stuff here. And I'll definitely post some other example model files for you guys as well. We'll keep messing with this. And I see Paul is answering some of the questions inside chat here. So he was originally going to be in the stream here today with me for this clubhouse, but we're having some technical difficulties, so we've switched the stream to just being myself now. And we've removed Paul from the equation. He'll be back. He's in chat. So now I have some sort of weird guinea pig thing here. Give him some ears. It's a creepy guinea pig. He needs a bit of a chin. And guinea pigs always have these, they got these large teeth. There's 2 of them. This is how we go. Let me pinch those in a little bit. And then we can use the slash brush here to kind of cut it around that surface. Now oftentimes when I'm sculpting stuff kind of like this, where I'll take something and modify it or change it, I'm definitely not talking about it, which is definitely a hard thing when you're sculpting stuff. And we'll give him some eyeballs. There we go. So we're going to save this one out. You guys can have fun with this one. So to save, once again, we just come over here, just go to that Save As button. We'll save this one as Crazy Guinea Pig. And then I'm going to hop over to ZBrush Central here. And we see we got some more. Oh, we're going to grab some of these. Let's refresh this and see what we got. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to upload this one I just made here. And I'll probably throw another one in too. And this is the joy of this, right? You can just quickly share these out and save them to any like community, social media place, any of your favorite stuff. And just have fun experimenting with this, right? And like if you keep it in this kind of shared process, right, you're going to end up, you know, getting all these like crazy weird results, and then it kind of comes collaborative, right? So I can share something and then someone else can take it and modify it. So I'm going to post another one up here too for you guys that I have here. I made a bunch of weird ones. And this is just me kind of sculpting quickly. I can show, I'll put this skull one up. Let's see how big that one is. This one's kind of a more of an example one. And this was a lot of Snakehook usage. We'll put that in there as well. And if you're just tuning in, I'm just putting these on ZBrush Central. So I'm just taking these image 3D GIF or GIF files here. And I'm just posting them up to ZBrush Central here. And when that's done, I'll send that out. And then after I get these, you know, kind of saved, I can access them. So this was that kind of Frankenstein one I was messing with here. I want to download the one PNG here. So let's save that out quick too. Let's open up another one. So here we got this one. So look at that. Your model's on stream. Let me post that one there too. So this is Pixelforge's model here. So thank you guys. And there's chats in the streams on how to kind of share your models out as you're making them with this version. So we got a little Cyclops here. liking the smile and the nose on this. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna mangle it a little. This is what we do, all right? So I'm gonna come through and just, this is the part of the fun in which we wanted in this stream too. It was just the ability to kind of distort or change, right? So don't be, it's kind of the freedom of experimentation, the freedom of trying things out, seeing what other people saw in shapes and then modifying them, right? So maybe I want to give them a more of a kind of a pointier kind of chin there. I'll come in and cut this out. Play with those muscles through there. And anytime, once again, since we are using Sculptris Pro, you will be able to get those, polygon counts decently high up, but you can always limit them. So if I take this model here and just run it through the process here. So yes, the Cyclops was made in ZBrushCore Mini, and it was actually posted on ZBrush Central. So we're doing this kind of sharing stream here. So you can see here is the Cyclops, and this was saved as a PNG. So the PNG isn't animated, so this is the kind of version of that. So you have two ways to kind of save. If you save as a GIF or GIF file there, you'll end up getting these little previews with the noise on the bottom. And then it looks like Damien posted this one here. So there you go there. So thanks for putting that up. And so that is the process of this kind of application. And once again, this is free. So there's no charge to download this. And it will, ZBrush is not gonna use your graphics card, so it's entirely using your CPU. So if you don't have to have a really crazy machine or a powerful machine to really use it, you can end up pretty much running ZBrush on any kind of system as long as it is a 64-bit machine. So I have an old Core 2 Duo, which is one of the first ones of those, and I can definitely launch ZBrush on that. Now I don't have it hooked up to anything powerful, like the monitor of it's very, very, very tiny, because it was the same monitor that shipped with the computer. So I think the resolution on that screen is like 348 by 512 or something ridiculous. But it ends up, I do a lot of testing with that machine. And for like large changes too on your models, you can use the move brush as well. So the Snakehook brush is always going to modify the topology as you use it. So as you draw it out, it's going to tessellate or decimate the process there depending on your brush size. But if I take something like the move brush, I'll be able to make changes and it's not going to modify the topology there, right? So I can pull this around and kind of stretch that surface out, manipulate this a little bit more. Like maybe we're going to give them some sort of hair, mess with that quick. Give him some longer ears through there. Probably change his nose too. See where this goes. This is the fun. So Peter, who's just joining us, he's asking what's going on here. So we have released a version of ZBrush called ZBrushCore Mini. And ZBrushCore Mini is a free version of ZBrush. So it's a light version of ZBrushCore here that contains 8 different sculpting brushes. It has another set of 8 materials you can cycle through. So you can change the color of your models, you can change the material. We've also had all the brushes are reliant with Sculptris Pro. So what that means that you're getting the Sculptris experience of ZBrush in this free version as well. And the goal for this is to allow people that have never experienced digital sculpting to kind of have a way in without any price. So, if you're in like K through 12, or maybe, you just want to mess with ZBrush here during these times, you have a computer, but you don't really want to go, the full ZBrush, maybe just want to try out digital sculpting. This is the version for you, and you can download it for free. And then after it is downloaded, you just simply install it. You're going to be greeted with 2 different types of primitives. So we have a sphere starting mesh, and then we also have a stone block. The stone block has some noise applied to it, which will allow you to start from the stone, and you can actually use these brushes to carve in if you want. But the brushes themselves all handle just like the larger variants, so just like ZBrush and ZBrushCore. So if you sculpt just by clicking and dragging, you can use a mouse as well. And then if you hold Alt, it'll carve in. And if you hold Shift, it'll perform a smooth. And those are your basic kind of principles there when using this. So I can come through and start sculpting different forms on my model here. Maybe he wants to have a hat, the Cyclops here. And then the model here that we started from for this guy was shared on ZBrush Central. So this was another one of the fellow streamers in here, created this mesh and uploaded it to ZBrush Central as an image 3D file. And image 3D is a format that is going to give you a basic PNG or GIF file, and then after you have this kind of saved out, it's going to give you a little preview of it. And then after this preview is going, you can load it into any software, post on any social media site that allows for the PNG or GIF or GIF format. And then after that's uploaded, you can simply download it. And if you transfer it to another application, it's just going to basically show you the image. However, if you load it into ZBrushCore Mini here, it's going to extract model data from that image. And so we can end up using that as well. So if you can see here on our ZBrush post here, we have some different models that people have been opening up or saving out here. Let me just refresh this and see if there's any more. And so this is just ZBrush Central. So this is the hub of everything ZBrush, so ZBrushCentral.com. And in here we have a thread going right now. So if you have downloaded the free version of ZBrushCore Mini, you can come in here and post up your models. And then I've been going through and downloading them and doing a little sculpting on them. So kind of a collaborative process here of going through and taking some of the models that our people that are watching the stream here today have created, and then I'm going through and modifying them. So this was the Cyclops here, and you can see I'm already kind of changing them up quite a bit here, just kind of seeing shapes and forms and then just kind of experimenting and pulling out with them. And you can see the process for this is, fairly quick, so you don't have to really spend a lot of time kind of doing things, but it's fun. And that's the main thing we wanted this version to be about, was the fun, the freedom, and also that it is entirely free. So you can experiment with the software here. So I'm gonna give him a little hat here. And to do this, I'm just taking the clay buildup brush and I'm just pulling it out. So I'm just sculpting on the surface, and this is gonna build up as this happens. And as you can see here, as I'm coming through and adding to the topology here, it's actually pulling that surface out. And then I can come through and cut back in some stuff if I want. Give him a little weird Cyclops hat here. And in this version, we've included the kind of 8 brushes here that are fan favorites for inside of ZBrush. So you can actually experiment with these, and these are some of my favorite go-to brushes as well. So right now I'm using H Polish. This one's really handy for coming through and flattening areas, so I can actually go through and generate entire mechanical kind of surfaces with this brush. It also gives a nice kind of contour effect, especially if you're going for some different type of stylized characters. You can run this across the surface and it's going to flatten it out. So it's a fun brush to use with this process here. So you can see now I've taken the Cyclops here, and he's got a new look on life. He's still got that same eye though, one eye. And we can give him that one eyebrow too, really quick, just a big. And then we can put a little kind of different kind of. It's a little bit spiky eyebrow. Maybe too much. We'll keep it like this. Yeah, if you guys have questions in here, go ahead and ask them. This stream is mostly going to be focused on this version here, and definitely, Saeed, if you have not downloaded this yet, download it, because I want to see some of your models in this ZBrush thread here. So get to it if you can. So to save and export out, so your files will be able to save as a image 3D format. So if I want to save this model now, and come over here and click Save As. In here, your file extensions are the image 3D GIF or GIF, and the image 3D PNG, and then also ZPR. The ZPR format will eventually be able to be used with ZBrush Core, so you'll be able to load that into ZBrush Core and experiment with your file after you've created it in ZBrushCore Mini. For right now, we're just using the GIF or GIF image format and also the PNG. So I'm going to change this to, see if I can spell Cyclops correctly. And then once you save that out, what it's going to be saved out as is a image that looks like this. Let me just go here quick and show you what it looks like. So here we have some of the examples of the images there. So as that GIF or GIF was saved out, this is what I'm getting as a file format. And this is just your standard 2D image here if I just load it up in the Windows or Mac OS. Like, this is just what's going to look like. But these all contain your 3D model data. So if I want to take this Cyclops modification here and I want to put it up on ZBrush Central, I'm going to come over here to my ZBrush Central post. Oh man, we got a good one. We're going to get Oliver's here in a minute. And I'm just going to hit reply here. And I'm just going to drag over the Cyclops model here. This is going to start uploading here. If I can spell Cyclops correctly. And I gave him a hat. And then once this is uploading here, I'm going to send it, and then that is going to go directly to ZBrush Central. Now, if I want to save one of these out, so let's modify, let's just wait till it saves quick. It's almost done. So now I posted that, and then let's say we want Oliver's sculpt here. So I'm just going to come over here, right-click this, save as. Let me make sure I spelled his name correctly here. And then click save, and that has now been saved. So now I can go back into ZBrushCore Mini. I come over here to open project. And in here I have Oliver's file. If I double click that, now I've got his sculpt. Now he started this with the cube option over here, and this was the result he got here. Now in terms of other ways to get your files out with ZBrushCore Mini, if you want to save an image, there's an export image button here, and you can click this and this will now save out in various image formats. Now the formats that these save out to will not save the model data, so it's not going to be using that image 3D GIF, GIF, or PNG format, but instead it's going to allow you to save out just as standard 2D images. So you can definitely save an image of your work. So definitely if you load something in and you like it in a different material, you can come over here and quickly select one of those after it's saved. After it's selected, you can then generate an image file and share that as well. Besides this, we have a export for 3D printing option, and this is basically focused around using it for STEM purposes in terms of education and learning. So with this, instead of having a classroom of students trying 3D art out for the first time using a CAD-based application where they're actually trying to make a character or something organic in CAD, which is very hard, they can now use ZBrushCore Mini. So taking this, sculpting, which is bringing them into the digital world of ZBrush digital sculpting, which is really going to be a lot easier. And then they can now export this out. This will export out as a decimated OBJ file, and then that can be loaded into a slicer and then 3D print it. So if I wanted to print the head here that Oliver did, all I would need to do is come up here and click this. It would export out an OBJ, and then I could load it into, say, Freeform, which is Formlabs software, or I could load it into, say, Simplify 3D, any kind of slicer that works with a 3D printer, and Cura, and then after that's done, I can print that model out. So excellent stuff with that. And I don't know if I want to damage Oliver's sculpt here. This is a really nice model, and this was all done in ZBrushCore Mini, and it was done during the stream here. So as you can see, we started this stream, and this is one of the people that's watching the stream right now. And he's created this model during this time frame and has posted it up on ZBrush Central. Preform, thank you Polysculpt, not freeform. There's a lot of F's, freeze, free. And that's where we're going here with ZBrushCore Mini. All right, so definitely keep posting up your works here. I'm not gonna modify Oliver's sculpt, it's too good. I'll just make a mess out of it. So we're gonna see what else we got up here. I have some other ones that I can quickly load that I've messed with. So let's go and let's grab one of those. And so talking about some ways you can kind of expand, what you do into. Don't think you can only just do busts inside the software as well. So you can also do like craziness. So here I have a crazy mech that was just started from Sculptress 2. So you can definitely start, doing even bigger, more elaborate things like this. And one thing nice about Sculptress when using the Snakehook brush, and this is one of my kind of go-tos, is if you pull something off, like these arms, you can see they're detached. And how this was done was that I took the part of the mesh and I kind of pulled it off, right? So I just took it and used Snakehook to pull it off. And then if I smooth directly in the middle, it's going to segment or break that portion out, right? So now I have this part separate. And then I could come through and use the Inflate on this to make that a little bit bigger, come back in with, say, clay buildup, and now I can start modifying that shape off of the model as well. And then if I don't want it, I can come through and just quickly, smooth it out, and it's gone. So you can do that process too, and that's kind of how I pulled these kind of arms off into their own little area. So I dragged them out, and then I wanted them kind of be like a little bit free floating on this mesh here. And then for this model too, using a lot of that kind of H polish, it's going to allow you to come in and generate some different shapes and forms. So there's another just quick one of just experimentation and freeing kind of stuff out. So nothing's too elaborate here. It's just experimenting with shapes and forms, trying stuff out and getting a feel for this kind of ZBrush sculpting process. And so this is just using H polish, and I'm just modifying. There are hotkeys in here, so we have the Alt key and the Control key. And the Alt key and the Shift key are the main ones here. So you won't be able to do masking in this version, but you shouldn't need really to do any masking to generate some stuff out of here. And once again, this version is free, and they've been passing out the download links in the chat there. So there are no importing the maps in this software, so the main premise of this is the digital sculpture portion of ZBrush. So if you are looking for maps or any kind of that usage, you would need to upgrade to ZBrushCore or ZBrush itself. But this one, the main process here is we wanted to keep it light, we wanted to keep it simple, and we wanted to kind of remove all the other kind of technical stuff that people can be overwhelmed with and just keep it freeing, right? So this whole purpose of this one is just for sculpting. Just to experience sculpting, especially if you're a first-time user, maybe you've been doing a lot of drawing. It's one of those kind of applications where, you know, you just need to experiment. And until, you know, you can have tons of people tell you, hey, you know, download this program, it's great. But until you really experience it, it's kind of hard, you know. You can definitely, you know, mess with it or download a trial, but with the free version here, we hope that it'll remove some of those restrictions of people who just want to create stuff and just try it. Because once you try it, it's definitely been a big changer in my way I create art. So now I do pretty much entirely everything I do art-wise is usually inside of ZBrush. And if anyone tells you you cannot get a hard surface model out of using ZBrushCore Mini, that is definitely a lie, because you can do it. And so it's just me smoothing, so as I'm coming across the surface, I'm smoothing the surface as well. Just smoothing it down so it's nice and kind of visible. Now, if I'm doing something like this in terms of mech with, say, Sculptris Pro, I usually don't want to hit the linear details with those panel lines early on. So this one I'll use a lot of, say, clay buildup as I'm expanding the process here and building up those shapes a little bit, cutting in different areas and kind of tailoring those forms, and then following up with that H-polish brush, and that's going to allow me to smooth those surfaces out. And then I can cut in later with, say, those slash brushes to add those kind of panel lines or details. But I usually don't it'll end up kind of carving everything out initially. Like just kind of hit on different things, but most of the stuff I end up doing is clay buildup for at least the beginning shapes here. And as we're doing this, once again, we're posting a lot of stuff on the ZBrush Central here. So if I come back over to ZBrush Central, we put this thread in our clubhouse here. So today the clubhouse is supposed to be me and Paul, but we had some technical difficulties. And so it shifted back to just me here. But we have this thread on ZBrush Central, and it is the Clubhouse Special Streams thread. I mean, it's a lot to pronounce there. And as we've gone through this, some of our streamers here, we've asked you guys to post up what you're doing, right? So you can download this version for free and then come in here and post up an image, and then you can actually use this inside your version of ZBrushCore Mini. So Sculptris Pro is by default on in ZBrushCore Mini. So if you want to experience what ZBrush is like, this is a free version of ZBrush called ZBrushCore Mini. All the brushes have Sculptris Pro enabled. So what that means, you can come through, and if you start from a sphere or a square here, you have no reason not to try it, and then you can experience how this works. So the Snakehook brush is awesome when using Sculptris Pro, and so this is built in by default. You don't have to turn it on, it's just going to automatically work. So you can come in and start pulling shapes out or designs or forms. So let's see what I can get out of here quick. And just experiment, right? So if I want to pull out a neck, you know, I can quickly do that with the Snakehook brush. Pull out different designs here, get that back up. And so you can start seeing how you can just kind of play with it, experiment, try out the software. And then I come back in and start refining some different stuff in here. And my brain works on a shape finding mode, so I'll come through and start seeing different things here and start kind of sculpting in and out on surfaces. If you guys want me to mess up or modify one of your models, I'll definitely post it on that thread on ZBrush Central. Don't be scared, you've seen what I'm doing here. And you can use that new GIF or Image 3D GIF or PNG format and post that up there, and then you can take that format and load it into ZBrushCore Mini here. So let's see what we got going on here. So we have some questions on the chat here. So this is available for
Mac OS and Windows. It is not available for iPad. So there is no iOS version of this, but if you have a Windows machine or a Macintosh, you can download the application for free. This is ZBrushCore Mini. And after you have it downloaded, you'll just simply install it, and then you can start sculpting. We have a few different base meshes here you can choose from. So we have a stone mesh and also a sphere. The stone mesh will allow you to use the application as you were kind of carving into it, so you can use it in a traditional kind of sense of stone carving. And then the sphere will do more of that kind of positive kind of form there. With the stone and the sphere as well, the stone will have some noise that's applied to it, which I'll show you here in a second. But you're not, you can carve and add to both. So don't think that just because you have the stone block, you have to only do, negative carving on the surface. You can definitely do positive carving as well. And we'll see what my creature here is going a little bit crazy. But the main premise here that I want to show you guys is just it in practice and kind of how it's kind of working and what it does here. And so my art stuff here is going to be a little bit crazy because it's kind of off the cuff right now in terms of sculpting. If you guys give me some files here, we'll see what it does. And one thing that I'll end up doing too, if sculpting a lot of stuff, so kind of some sort of Mew creature design here, is that closed eyes are often easier than open eyes. And I just come through and establish the different forms on things. And I just build up the shapes. And to do this, I usually use this clay buildup brush, and I'll come across and hatch back and forth, and then I'll smooth over the surface. And that's gonna end up smoothing that area out. And I'll do this across, the entire mesh just to kind of get different shapes or forms. And then you can see as I smooth out, it's gonna shrink that topology some too, so I can actually pull in different things that may be a little bit chaotic as I'm sculpting here. And if you're just tuning in as well, this is on our Twitch channel here. We have a bunch of other excellent streamers that stream with us daily on our Twitch channel. So if you want to see any more kind of digital sculpting, or maybe you've downloaded ZBrushCore Mini and then you want to see what the other versions of ZBrush kind of entail, you can definitely catch any of our streams on that. And here at Pixologic, we do developer streams. And so Paul, I think, is going again tomorrow. So you can definitely tune into those as well. And if you have any questions, we have a lot of people on our staff here right now that are in there, and they'll be able to answer any kind of questions you have with that. So I see we have some questions about exporting. So definitely you can export out as an OBJ. If you export out for 3D printing, this will decimate your model and then export that out as an OBJ file. And the primary purpose for that is kind of STEM learning. So having the ability to, have ZBrushCore, have the digital sculpting kind of feeling and effect inside a classroom type setting. Definitely, allow children to experience kind of digital sculpting for free without any monetary value needed, and then you can experiment with that. And then if school has a nice kind of 3D printer, you can definitely send your model for 3D print, and that'll allow you to kind of experiment with that kind of creation technology. Because the way 3D printers are nowadays, they definitely allow you to do a lot of great things, and with ZBrush behind them, you can definitely start using it to your advantage to design or create, or just create anything that your kind of mind kind of comes to. And that's kind of what we're doing here today. Just kind of showing the process of using this, and I've just started, sculpting here. My brain works on kind of shape finding, so I'll see stuff and pull shapes from it. And all I'm doing here is ZBrushCore Mini has a standard set of brushes that we end up using here. I'll check the ZBrush Central page here in a second. And then the Snakehook brush, the great Snakehook brush. This is really one of my favorite brushes that ZBrush has. Because you can use it as a move brush, so you can just move stuff, very slightly, but then you can go really crazy with it too. Oops, wrong save button there. And then while you're doing this as well, we've added some kind of different ways to kind of view your model as you're sculpting it too. So we have a few different materials. You can end up using it, and these have been tested with children in mind. So a lot of this kind of functionality we have here, keeping it kind of simple and kind of creative. You can come over and just change a color. Like, you don't have to really go through and, you know, add colors or worry about painting it, or, you know, the density of your mesh. Like, you just simply change. And so if you want to see your model in a different color and also material, it's very easy to do. And this allows you just to kind of experience your model in a different light as you're working on it. And the main thing with this application too is we wanted to get the sculptural part, the main core thing of it. And so experiencing the digital sculpting aspect. So that's why we have it set up this way as well. So we decluttered a lot of it in terms of what is in here. So it's very simplified. And 100% free to download and experiment with. So if you have not tried digital sculpting, definitely now is the time. You can download ZBrushCore Mini for free. And then we have another random creature. Give him some arms. Now you can definitely keep pulling things out too. So if you wanted to have arms or legs, I can keep going with this, right? So if I wanted to have some arms here, I can take that Snakehook brush and I can actually start pulling, you know, those arms out. And this is all just from that same mesh. And then after these arms are out, you know, now I can come in and start modifying those, right? So start filling in these different surfaces. I usually end up like bulking them up a little bit in terms of these kind of areas in here and smoothing them back down. So it's really freeing, and then if any times you don't like what you kind of have, you can definitely go through and erase it all as well. So using that shift brush, you can come through and just get rid of everything. And so during the stream today, we've been trying to get, you know, you guys that are in the stream here, guys and gals that are in here, to experience this for yourself. So you can download the ZBrushCore Mini application, and then after you have it downloaded, you can go over to ZBrush Central, and in ZBrush Central there is a thread, and in here we're asking you all to come through and post your models, and then I've been going through and downloading some of these as well. So there we go, there's some random alien creature there, and then if you don't like his arms, they're gone. All right, so very kind of free-form sculpting, keeping things light, and definitely just an experience. And that's the main thing we want to kind of hit on this, is the experience of this software. And if you haven't tried it before, or maybe you have heard about digital sculpting, but you're not sure if it's something that you want to do, you can definitely download this for free and try it out. The application itself is not graphic card dependent, so that means it's only going to really use your CPU. And so if you have some RAM in your machine and you have a computer processor, which hopefully your machine has, you'll be able to download the software and then you can experiment with it. And so I'm just, you know, making some crazy creature right now. And all this was started from that kind of sphere shape there. And then I'm just pulling out forms and shapes, not really doing anything, you know, in particular, but just experiencing the kind of freedom of ZBrush as an application. So there we go. He's got no back muscles, but we're going to leave him like that. His back muscles are a little bit crazy right now. All right, so I'm going to go check the post on ZBrush Central here. We'll save this out if anyone wants to mess with my madness. So to save a project again, we have introduced now with this version the ability to save out as an image 3D GIF or GIF or image 3D PNG format. And what this format allows you to do is if you open this in any other kind of standard 2D application, it's just going to look like an image. However, if you open this file into ZBrushCore Mini, it's going to extract out model data for you. So we're going to type this in, this crazy creature, and save that out. And so as this is saved out, if I pop over here to my desktop, you can see some of the ones that I have already saved. And as you can see, this is what it looks like, right? So it's just a standard GIF or GIF image. And then with this, I can now upload it to my favorite sites or social media platforms. So I'm gonna hop over here to this post on ZBrush Central. We're gonna go ahead and reload that here quick. And see if we got any new ones here. If anyone's been messing with my madness. And then here I'm gonna hit reply, and I'm just gonna throw in this crazy creature. I have no clue what this creature is. We'll put that up there quick, and this is now going to upload to ZBrush Central here. And then we can click reply, and now we've added another process there. So please, if you guys are in the stream here, we highly recommend you go download this free version of ZBrush called ZbrushCore Mini, and then post your meshes or image 3Ds here on ZBrush Central. And then I've been going through and just grabbing some of these and messing with them. So this was this started from this sphere right here with the smiley face, and then turned into some weird kind of guinea pig creature. And then I took the Cyclops that was posted up here as a PNG file, and we modified him a little bit and gave him a little hat and made his ears a little bit bigger. So you can go through and modify these files as well, and then share them on any social media platforms. So let's see what else we got here. I got a few more models I can load in here for you all. So let's go ahead and do that. Actually, we'll start from, just start straight up from a sphere here, or a cube. So getting back to the kind of base meshes that ZbrushCore Mini ships with, we can start from a sphere, and this is pretty much what your sphere will look like here. After it's loaded in, you have 8 different types of brushes you can use. We have standard, clay buildup, inflate, pinch, move, snakehook, /3, and H polish. With these, they're all going to have Sculptris Pro enabled. So if we come through and start modifying this mesh, it's going to tessellate the model on the fly based on your sculptural mark. So if I come through with clay buildup and I make a small draw size here, you can see I'm going to get that mark drawn out just like that. And then if I make a large draw size, I'm going to get the mark drawn out like that. And if I turn on my polyframes here, you can see the difference in the amount of topology. Now, if you're just making art, you don't have to worry about this. You don't even have to think about it. You're just taking it and you're sculpting, and you'll know that wherever you sculpt, if your brush is big or your brush is small, you're going to have enough topology to support that stroke. And so as you can see, as I make a large stroke, I'm going to get less topology because that stroke really doesn't need a lot of polygons to get the fidelity it needs. But if I shrink down to very small stroke through here, in order to support that stroke, it's going to need quite a bit of topology, and so the Sculptris Pro mode will kick in, and it's going to end up working in your favor. So a little thing there about the Sculptris Pro mode. Now this is the sphere starting mesh, and it has symmetry turned on by default, so you can definitely turn that on and off. These buttons here, low, medium, and high, will allow you to decimate your model. So as you're working with Sculptris Pro, as we just saw, when you add a stroke to your mesh, it's going to add more geometry based on that brush size. So if your mesh starts getting crazy, we have a limit in here inside of ZbrushCore Mini. You can come up here and you can just click this low, medium, or high button, and this is now going to reduce your mesh to that amount of polygons. And one thing really nice about the process here, which is using decimation master, is that it's going to, pretty much you're not going to see a difference on your screen. It's going to tessellate it down, and it's going to keep all their sculptural marks, but it's going to reduce the topology count of your mesh. So this allows you to keep sculpting as you work on your meshes. Now the other 3D primitive we have here is the stone block, and this one allows you to come through and model kind of inward, so cutting in. I'm just holding down the Alt key and sculpting, and this will allow you to cut into the surface. And with this, it has a surface noise applied to it. Now we used this when we had a competition at the ZBrush Summit, and this was the Michelangelo challenge. And so we had a file set up like this, and people that came, attendees of the event, could come across and sit down on a computer and then sculpt, and this would allow you to achieve this kind of effect. So we had a little contest there for that, and this was all using this kind of process. But this will give you another kind of feel or experimentation of the application. So you can use this to carve inward. You can also carve positive at any time, but this will just allow you to feel, a little bit different quality to your mesh. So instead of just having that nice kind of spherical object, you can actually start coming in and using this to generate different forms and designs as well. And so some of these, like the, let me open this one here, like the Moi that I made. Let's get that open. Wait for it. was done using that as a base mesh. So here we have that kind of mesh there. And so the same kind of process just coming through and sculpting on the model here. And as you use this, it's going to allow you to, just see it as if it was stone. And then I can come over here and change my material types. These I can then change the color on, and so I can actually get different kind of properties to this as well. And this will allow me just to preview the mesh in different ways. Now after I have these previewed, I can export this out for sharing using that save as option here with that image 3D GIF or GIF or PNG file. And then I can also export this out for 3D printing, which will decimate the model down and export out, or I can just export out an image for sharing, and this will just be a 2D image as well. So you have a whole bunch of stuff that you can just use and share your designs. And the main process with this application, once again, is that we're kind of looking to harness the people that want to try digital sculpting but weren't quite sure. They didn't really want to invest into the full package. They wanted to learn or experience it. And this was kind of aimed at, say, the ages of young kids, K through 12, that may have some different kind of experiments and experiences they want to have in their educational cycle. Definitely experiencing the STEM kind of design, 3D printing, so we allow you to export out for 3D printing. So those kind of things there, and just a way to experience things in 3D, because 2D is pretty easy for children of all ages to kind of access, but 3D is a little bit more difficult. And oftentimes kids will be directed into, say, CAD type learning processes, which is fine, but they don't really get to experience the realm of digital 3D or digital sculpting. And so one of the goals for ZBrushCore Mini here is allow to kind of break that barrier. And so oftentimes, I didn't pick up, ZBrush till years later, when I actually was, already working in the industry. Like I started with 3D Studio Max and poly modeling and turning edges and moving points. And ZBrush wasn't around then, but if it was, I may not have experienced it until years later. And after I did experience ZBrush, it totally changed kind of how I made art and created things. It was much more freeing, much more easy to use for me, and it just fit to my mindset and workflow. Like it turned from being a technical kind of aspect to being more of a creative process, which is what I felt, when I was making things in clay or, Play-Doh, even younger than that. So Sculpey, all those different little things. And so that's kind of the goal here as well, is to give the kind of traditional processes, a way to do it on the computer. And it's definitely, with 3D printing, it's a good harness for children of any age to experience. So the brush is using dynamic ability. So what that means is if I make a large brush or a small brush, this is going to come through and it's going to give me a stroke that's relative to the size on the mesh. So the dynamic mode, you can switch it inside of ZBrush, and this will allow you to give you a screen spray size. So if you move the model back and forth and you drew a mark, that size would change. And so with dynamic on, this means if I make a stroke and it's this size here, if I zoom out, rotate the wall around and make that same stroke, this stroke and this stroke are going to be the same size. So the brushes here are set up using dynamic, so you can actually come through, and as if you make this mark here, and then I move, zoom, or rotate, or maybe change the perspective, and I make this mark here, this mark is going to be the same size as that one there. And once again, while all of these processes are being used, any brush strokes on the model, it's going to be applying the Sculptress Pro mode. So as I come through and make a mark, this is going to come through and tessellate the model there. So you can see this is what the geometry of the statue looks like. And if I do a small brush, I'm going to get a lot of tessellation. And if I do a large brush, I'm not going to get as much. So it's definitely going to tessellate based on the size of your brush, which is what Sculptress Pro is doing here when it is activated. So yes, this is the professional version, or kind of the update to the original Sculptress. So we've introduced Sculptress in ZBrush and ZBrushCore a little while ago. And so another kind of thing here, now you can experience this as ZBrush has it inside the professional Sculptress. So not just the normal Sculptress, but the Sculptress Pro mode. And both of these are using this. So yes, you can download this and try it for free. And it'll give you the same Sculptress feeling that you have inside of ZBrushCore and also the professional version. So we got a bunch of people in the chat answering questions as well. So if you have any of them, please shoot them into there. And then I'm going to go see if I can locate some more files that people have uploaded. So let's see if we do that. So let's hop over to ZBrush Central here. Oh man, we've got some turtles now. We've got all sorts of stuff. Let's see what we got here. So let's see what we got here. We're going to the, so I just went over to ZBrush Central here. So just here, if you're inside of ZBrushCore Mini, you can just simply click this link at the top, and this will send you to the website as well. And then in the website, you'll see at the very kind of top here, they have introducing ZBrushCore Mini, and I can open that up. And then in here, if I scroll down, there is a Clubhouse thread right here that you can click on, and this will take you to the thread that we have started populating with all these image 3D files. So we have image 3D GIFs or GIFs, if you prefer to call it that way. And so we started out with this kind of T-Rex here, me and Paul, and then we went to a Frankenstein, then we had some smiley faces coming across. This is the PNG format here. So we had a Cyclops, and then we had a doggy. We had some weird guinea pig thing that I made. Here's a quick skull using some more of the kind of sculpting along with those low, medium, and high sliders. We had Oliver's excellent model there. We had the Cyclops I recreated. This one's pretty good. We're going to save this one. Let's get this one out there. And once again, these are all just simple image files, but they're encoded with the 3D model data. So if you take these images and save them and then load them into ZBrushCore Mini, they're going to load right in. So let's take this one too. And now let's hop back over to ZBrushCore Mini. And then in here, I'm just going to go to Open. And I'm going to navigate quickly to that folder here. Let's get that. So here we have on those files I saved on my desktop. So here we have that one, and then here we have this one as well. And to just load these, if you load them in a 2D editor, they're just going to pretty much just look like this, right? So as you saw them on ZBrush Central, they just look like animated GIFs or GIFs. And then now if I come across here and open them up, you can see now I'm going to get that model file loaded in. So here we have that turtle that we posted on ZBrush Central, and now I have it in here. And now part of this fun of the thread here today is that I can come in and now I can start manipulating this some. So I'm going to give him some, a little bit of legs there. He's got them, gotta get them turtle legs out. It's the summer, gotta get them legs out. And this is just me moving the move brush here, so I can kind of move his forms in some. Stretch out those areas there. So this is the part of the fun. It's the experimentation. Don't worry about doing stuff too drastic. You can come through and start manipulating the shapes and forms and just play around with it and have fun. And so we've been taking models that you all have been creating and posting on ZBrush Central, and then I've been coming through and modifying them as well. So I do like modeling some turtles. So they're definitely, I've done a lot of, I don't think I've ever finished one, but I do like do like modeling them quite a bit. I don't know what it is. The turtle's usually a go-to kind of candidate for sculpting stuff. And so this model, when it came in, it was a little bit high, so I'm going to take it down a little bit lower. The buff turtle. If you guys are tuning in and you've signed up to get the download for ZBrushCore Mini, make sure you guys double check your kind of spam folders as well. So sometimes if you're using services like Hotmail, they're notorious for eating emails every once in a while. So if you signed up for the download of ZBrushCore Mini on our website to download it for free, just double check to make sure your email client did not devour it. It may be small, but the email's hungry. We'll see what we got here and give him a little turtle eyes. We'll give him the outward facing eye there. And then I'm gonna use the move brush some more. Now, one thing with move, it's very easy to kind of come through and change stuff quickly, and I'll often do things on like a side view. And this allows me to make, pretty big changes along the surface of the model. I'll give him a little bit of nose shape there. And then we're gonna come through and give him that little front shell. So one thing I like about kind of turtle shells is it always has like this weird kind of lip on the front too. So you've got a front lip and a back lip. And I often like this kind of curvature that's on the front. So there's usually a kind of a slope that does something like that. But all I'm doing here is just using these kind of basic brushes. So I'm just using move here, and you'll see when I do this move, I'm doing a lot of kind of tapping because I don't really want to do a gigantic move. I just want to do enough move that's kind of going. And you'll see as I do this, I rotate around a lot to kind of see things at different angles. Because one thing that's different than using, say, straight 2D is that you only have to worry about one angle usually in 2D. In 3D, you have to really worry about everything. So you have to worry about the full surface of the mesh. So if it's, weird in one angle, it may be weird in other angles. And so just another thing there. And this was a model that let me make sure I got the artist's name right on this. Jensim has created here, and he uploaded it on ZBrush Central. And then I just took his model and I'm now modifying it. So this ability to kind of share meshes is a lot of fun. And it's very easy to, with the ZBrushCore Mini here, to just come through and make that share file, send it out, and then just keep going. And this was all just brought into ZBrush here from that standard 2D image file, that image 3D. And it's just a standard image file that we have encoded with 3D data as well. So you get best of both worlds, you get an image, but then if you load it into ZBrushCore Mini, you end up with a model. And here I'm just adding some variation on his back here. And I got another model too, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. But you can just see the amount of kind of stuff and creativity you can have with this. And thank you all for those of you who have posted your models on the ZBrush Central thread. And then you can spend, as many hours as you want finalizing this model here. Make his neck a little thinner. Something like that. And if you have any questions, definitely post them in the chat. We have a bunch of people on staff today that are generating those or answering those. I'm trying to catch the chat every once in a while, but I'm doing more sculpting than chatting. And the slash brush is good for, as we saw with the original version of the model here, cutting in and adding in different lines. I think I'm doing an experiment with that. And there we've got a modified. He's going to have some pants. We don't know why he's going to have pants, but he's going to have pants. He's going to go swimming. You can take these models and you can export them out as those image 3D formats, or you can also export this out for printing by coming up here and clicking that export for 3D button, print 3D, and then we'll actually take your model and decimate it down and turn it into an OBJ file format that is ready for sending to your favorite slicer for 3D printing. So there we go. We're going to save that turtle out. I'm going to load in another one here. So this is another one that was grabbed off of ZBrush Central. So there we've got this model. So another creation here. And this is the kind of the experimentation and fun that you want to have with this. Like, don't be afraid to, experiment, pull things out, change things, modify things. Just go with it. There's no right or wrong. And so you can see here, the artist on ZBrush Central that started this one, you can see he even pulled out an entire figure, right? We've got arms, legs, we've got everything. So you're not just limited to a bust. You can definitely go around and modify to your heart's content. And the closer you get, definitely based on your draw size, it's going to change how much sculptural kind of topology you have. So you can use this to your advantage as well. And then I'll just come through and I just pull out shapes and forms and just modify stuff. Square that jaw up a little bit. But it's very fun, and definitely experimenting or sharing files is another thing that's really great about this version of ZBrush, because anyone can download it. it's free. There's no cost. So you can download ZBrushCore Mini, start sculpting, and then share your creations with your friends. They can come through and modify them like I'm doing with the ones here that were posted on ZBrush Central. It's a quick way to do alliterations, kind of experimentation. We're going to get his horns here. We're going to move these up. We're going to get that Snakehook brush. Give him some of them horns. I'm going to go back in with that clay buildup brush. Now one thing I like doing for kind of surfaces like these horns and things like that is I'll go in really rough. And this is just the clay buildup brush. And I'm just coming across and I'm just roughing in the surface. And one thing I like doing with this is that as I'm doing this, it's creating variation. It's creating surface differences. And it may be stuff that you don't really like see initially. But as you do this kind of process, it's going to give you these little kind of geometry striations. And these geometry striations are nice because you can then highlight those on your models. So if I come through and kind of do this and pull those out, then I come in and say with that slash brush, and now I can make this a little bit smaller draw size. Now I know this is going to increase my polygon count, but I can come in and now I can start tracing some of these forms that have been generated. And this was just by that quick sculpting. And this gives me a way to kind of get different details across the surface there. And then I'm not looking for perfection here, I'm just looking for kind of like a noise type surface. And then after I get that polygon count up here, I'm now going to decimate that down. And I usually use low, so I end up coming through and using it, you know, pretty much always in kind of like a high to low. Like I usually take it all the way down to the lowest resolution and continue working from here. And then now I have like some more kind of visual surfaces here I can now come and hit on. And so I'll come in and now expand on those with the clay buildup brush. And this has given me that kind of surface detail of a bony type horn structure. And for these kind of marks I'm making, it's kind of like a little squiggle. So for anything, definitely if you're dealing with any pores or anything on a character, you never want straight lines. It's one of those main things that is very noticeable, because if you look at, you know, skin or anything like that, it's always like in Y shapes, Y forms. And then I just, you know, cover all the edges and kind of do this kind of process. And then I come back in, and once again, you're not restricted to anything. So you can always erase, you can always remove, you can always tailor, cut in, change. And this is one of the powers of digital sculpting. You don't have to worry about, oh, I just sculpted his, you know, the entire character, but then I found out that his arms are too short and I got to redo the entire thing. You also don't have to worry about doing things twice. So I don't have to do the left side and the right side of this model. I can just do one side. I'll give him a big kind of jaw here. And you can see I go into happy sculpting mode. Happy little sculpting mode. He's got pouty lips for some reason. We're going with pouty. I think it was the initial Cyclops that was posted on ZBrush Central that had those kind of going for him. So we're just mimicking it in this guy as well. We'll do the slash brush through here. Separate those out a little bit. It's a pouty kind of day. And then we can always go to move and do drastic changes, which is always my fun. Fix his horns a little bit. It's good for profile changes. There we go. So that was a modified one there. All right, so I'm going to save this out too. We'll put this back up on ZBrush Central. A little bit of sculpting there. Let's hop back over to ZBrush Central here. So once again, if you're joining the stream or you want to try out any of these models, so maybe just came to the stream or you're watching on a replay later on, if you go to ZBrushCentral.com, we have a link up here that is introducing ZBrushCore Mini. This is a free version of ZBrush, so there's no cost associated with this. And ZBrushCore Mini contains a tool set that is set up for your kind of initial usage of ZBrush. So if you've never sculpted before, if you're just getting into digital sculpting, maybe you're in like a K through 12 scenario where you just want to try out digital sculpting, ZBrushCore Mini is for you. And on this thread, if you go to it, you can find out information on ZBrushCore Mini. And then if you come down to the bottom here, there is the ZBrush Clubhouse thread here, which was what me and Paul were going to be doing today, but then our streaming stuff got a little hiccup. So you ended up just with me. Paul had to duck out. But then in here, we've asked our viewers here to post images, their image 3D models of their files they've been sculpting. And so we have a lot of you guys and gals coming in here and posting these. And so I've thrown up a few of my crazy things as well. And then with these, I've been modifying some of these well and then sending them back. So this is the one I just kind of modified here. So I'm gonna come through and now re-upload that one. Now these file formats, when they're saved in this way, they're just saved as your standard 2D images. So if I hover them in Windows here, you can see this is just a GIF or GIF image, and it just has a file size. Like this is all it is. And so inside of Windows, this is how you see it. And if I upload this to ZBrush Central, this is exactly how it's going to be viewed as well. And the magic really doesn't happen until you import this file into ZBrushCore Mini. And then once that file gets in there, it's going to load in and you're going to end up having that 3D version of your mesh. So we're going to post this one here and go with that. I'm going to check the questions here as well. So we've been doing these live streams here. So we're almost done with the stream here. We had a little rocky start. So if you guys have any additional questions or anything, we can go ahead and fill those out now. So we're probably running a little bit over here because we had some hiccups at the start. And I want to give you all a chance to see ZBrushCore Mini in action, download it for free, and then try it out. And then if you have any versions of your meshes you want to share with us on ZBrush Central here, you can download it and get it going. And so I'm just posting a image here. This is an image 3D file, and you can see we have some great ones and that have been posted up by viewers in this thread here. And so we can just come through and upload these. And these are just simple image files. So it's GIF or PNG, and then GIF or GIF, whatever you prefer. One's a peanut butter, one's not. I always thought it was the peanut butter. That's the way I go with it. So, but that's not the time. So yes, so you can come through and reply and post your models here, and then these will show up there, and then these can now be downloaded. So I've been coming through and modifying some of the models here that have been posted. I also have a few more here that I've been messing with as well. Let's load up some of those quickly here. But this is entirely free to download and use. So there's no cost attached. So definitely if you want to experience 3D sculpting, now is the time. So here is another one I was messing with, kind of a homage to Brian. If you guys have ever seen the Dark Crystal or Labyrinth. And so this is all done that same kind of way. So I'll sculpt in on the surface here, and then as I come through, I'll just kind of smooth it out. So I do this process of kind of sculpting and smoothing. And then I don't really get, or try to get into any kind of like detailing. Like this is mostly the amount of kind of detailing I do. And if you stay with the clay buildup brush and Sculptris Pro, this is going to allow you to keep those kind of forms pretty light. Like I didn't want to do pretty much direct carves on a lot of this, but I can come through and sculpt this out and build up those forms around the eyelids and the different areas. And so it's a lot of fun with this to kind of experiment with it. And then after it gets, to that kind of pinnacle, you can definitely come up and reduce it using these low, medium, and high buttons, and this will reduce the mesh down. And what it's going to do, it's going to decimate it, but it's going to look at those sculptural details and hold them as much as possible. Now, if you have a lot of detail on your model, like this one's got quite a bit, so you can start seeing some of the kind of triangulation coming back in. But for the most part, if it's viewed from like this angle or this resolution, you're not really going to notice it that much. And you definitely have given you 3 options here, so you can decimate down to 500K, 300K, or 150K. And so by default, I usually end up using the low resolution, so the 150K. But you do have a few other options you can use to kind of bring that detail back into your mesh. And then I just usually come through and just sculpt like this and modify away. And then now you can save this out to any of your social media platforms, favorite websites, ZBrush Central, all that kind of good stuff. And then that file can then be opened back up into ZBrushCore Mini. It's going to take that 2D image and extract the model data from it. And then you're going to be left with a 3D version of your mesh. So that's another little quick model there. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything through my stream here. You guys can still see and hear me, I hope. Checking. I got old messages here now. Hold on. Good. All right, so we're gonna go for another probably about 10 minutes. So if you have any questions here, we're gonna try to get those answered for you all and get those links to ZBrushCore Mini out to you, especially if you're just tuning in. This is ZBrushCore Mini, which is a free mini version of ZBrushCore. You can download this from free on our site here, and those links in the chat. After you have it downloaded, you can just open it up. You'll be greeted with 2 different types of base meshes to sculpt from. We have a sphere mesh. We also have a stone mesh. We have a set of 8 brushes that are the most commonly used inside of the ZBrush family of sculpting. These are pretty much the ones or the go-tos for a lot of sculptors. And so you can come through and grab these and use those. We also have a set of 8 different materials which will allow you to preview your model in different ways. So the flat color is good for kind of seeing silhouettes and forms. So it's definitely when you're sculpting, if you kind of navigate around, you're gonna be able to get the silhouette view of your mesh. We have the more typical ones that are often used inside of ZBrush as well, like the basic material, Madcap gray, red wax, toy plastic, gold, skin shade, and silver. If you have any of these selected, you can also change the tint of that material by changing the color here, and this will allow you to view that material in another solid color. So if you want to see what your mesh kind of looks like with a different color, you can do that as well. After you have your model sculpted, you're free to share it out as those image 3D formats by going to the File Save As menu here, or just the Save Project As button here. And then we also have the ability to export out 2D images without the model data, so just your standard 2D image rather than the image 3D. And then we also have the ability where you can take your model and export out for 3D printing. So keeping the STEM kind of processes in line for schools. If you have access to a 3D printer at your school and you want to try digital sculpting, you can then take your model and click that button there. It'll export it out as a decimated OBJ file, and then you'll be able to load that into your favorite slicer, and then you can use that to 3D print your creation. So a lot of different ways to experiment and witness or experience the digital sculpting inside of ZBrush. So we want to make this and bridge it out to you all, especially for anyone that has a kind of crave to see what digital sculpting is and just wants to try it out very quickly. So you can download ZBrushCore Mini and play with it and see if it's something you like to do. So I think we have some other questions here. So the idea again with the ZBrushCore Mini is we want to keep it light as possible. So we have just focusing on sculpting. So the main things in here is sculpting. So there's not going to be any fiber mesh, there's not going to be any nano mesh, and any of the other kind of more technical aspects of ZBrush. If you're looking for those, you can upgrade to the ZBrush Professional version, and then ZBrushCore as well is the other versions that's in there that has some of those feature sets as well. But this one, we just wanted the experience of digital sculpting. And so just to get anyone that has a hankering or maybe just wants to try it out, focusing on kind of that learning or early education type application processes, just to experimentation, see if it's something you like to do. And then we have other avenues to kind of incorporate for other versions of ZBrush that will allow you to take that a step further. So you can go from ZBrushCore Mini here to ZBrushCore, and that even comes down to a monthly price point of $10.99 if you go that route. And then there is an upgrade path from ZBrush Core to the professional version of ZBrush as well, if you find that ZBrush is definitely something you want to do with your artwork. So creating and sculpting in the digital 3D world, that is ZBrush. So I think we are almost at the end. We got about 3 more minutes, so get in your questions now if you have them. Once again, if you want to share anything that you all have sculpted during this stream, if you can navigate over to ZBrush Central, so we're gonna come here back to the top here, you can hear me scrolling. You go to ZBrush Central, here we have this big button right here that says Introducing ZBrushCore Mini. In here you can find information on ZBrushCore Mini, so a quick introduction video showing you what ZBrushCore Mini contains. There's also a description of some of the items, the image 3D. There's also a viewer mode. If you have ZBrush Core, you can load ZBrush Core files into ZBrushCore Mini and you can get them in a preview mode, so you can change the materials and rotate them around. Also the information on the 3D printing process. And then for today's stream, we've been going through and posting various image 3D files here, and these can all be saved. So if you just want to load one of these into ZBrushCore Mini, just come across it, right click, save that image as. We're just going to save it as a file here, and I misspelled dino. And then we're going to go back to ZBrushCore Mini and go to the open project here, and then I can locate that file on my desktop here. And these will come in, let me get my extra large icons here, as simple images. So you can see this is just going to be displayed as an image in Windows or any other image explorer. And then if I click open on that, that file is going to load right in, and there we have that dino that was on ZBrush Central. So definitely go through and try those different example files out. Some of these will be included in some of your download links potentially, but ZBrush Central is going to be your source to kind of see these out the gate. But these can be shared anywhere on any platforms. And after you have these loaded in, you can just go through and freely sculpt. One of the most fun ones that are in here is the Snakehook Brush, which allows you to do, quite a big crazy things. So if I wanted to turn them into a chicken, which is, what dinosaurs really are, there we go, right? So now I got a chicken dino. So I think that is it. So hopefully the next time we do a Clubhouse stream, we'll have that other aspect working, and Paul will be in here as well. We had some hiccups in the platform we were using to stream from, so I'm going to try to get those sorted out. But I was able to switch over to my normal kind of streaming platform here. And once again, this is ZBrushCore Mini. It is a free version of ZBrush Core. And so it's the mini version. And you can download this or find the links if you navigate over to ZBrush Central. So let me just launch, whoops. I'll just go ahead and do it this way. Go to ZBrushCentral.com. In here, there will be a banner at the top of your screen, and it'll say ZBrushCore Mini. You can click on that. In here, we'll have information on how you can obtain this free version of ZBrush Core. So thank you all for coming out and viewing the stream today. Sorry about the initial hiccups we had with the Clubhouse with me and Paul. At least we got back on track somewhat. I didn't have Paul to banter off of the entire time. But if you have not checked out ZBrushCore Mini, check it out. It's free to download. Share the information with anyone you know that would be interested in 3D sculpting, because it's definitely changed the way I do art, and hopefully some of you all that have been wanting to test digital sculpting but haven't quite made the jump yet will jump into ZBrushCore Mini. It's free. It's free. Just go get it. And you can find more information on the products and software that ZBrush has at Pixologic.com. Also, ZBrush Central is the core ZBrush Central spot for everything related to ZBrush, so hop on there as well. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for answering the questions in the chat. I saw Daisuke was in there, and also Paul. Until next time, I think Paul may be streaming tomorrow. I usually have my little banners up here, but we had to kind of navigate this a little bit quickly here to get you guys on this switch here that we had to do. But I believe Paul is streaming tomorrow. Actually, he may be streaming Friday. Paul's Friday. If you go to ZBrushLive.com, we also have our calendar of events. So this is another great place to find out more, if I can spell it right. We're getting there. find out all of our calendar events for ZBrush. So we have a calendar page you can now go to, and you can access that. And then in here, you can find out what presenters are coming on next. So we have a whole bunch of presenters that stream on our channel. So Ashley Adams is awesome, and she is streaming up next. She'll be coming up next, and I don't think I'm in her time yet. No, she'll be here in another few hours here. So definitely catch her stream. She does some really amazing creature artwork. Also, Daniel De Leon will be on later this evening as well. So you can plan your whole calendar of your weekend here too. You just come across these. If you click on these links here, it'll allow you to go to the page on information about that stream. In there, you can also receive notifications where you'll be notified when the stream comes live, and then you can tune in and watch the streamers. So let me make sure I've got everything else out of the way. So we want one more request. We got another download. Hold on. We'll download one more. Let's see what we got here. Let's go to the post. One more, one final one. We got a request. Let's see. So many. Oh, that's a good one. Oh man, we got a bunch more. Hold on. It's got to reload. We'll do one more. We've got a request for it. But these can all be downloaded and installed in ZBrushCore Mini. That's a really awesome alien. And here we got a Robocop. Let's go. We're going to save this out. So this was saved in the PNG file format. So you have two different options to save your files out. And then if you go to ZBrushCore and open this up, I can select that PNG file. Uh-oh, I don't think I let it download. Let's go back. Let's make sure it's fully downloaded here. I jumped the gun. I went crazy. Oh, you may have modified that before you posted it. You can't modify the images. It's one thing there. But anyhow, we'll grab Oliver's again, and we'll end on that. All right. Thank you all, and have an excellent day. As Paul says, have a delicious evening. And until next time, download ZBrushCore Mini. It's free. Take care. Stay safe.